Welcome all. I'm Wilson Kimball. I'm President and CEO of the Mulliford Corporation, and we welcome you here to Mora, our latest project. This morning was an emotional day for me. I went first to the memorial for a Marine who passed away at 81, and then one of our tenants reached out to tell me that her 17-year-old son needed her permission to join the Marines, and I was reminded about how important service to country is. And I just want to say how thankful I am that I get to work with so many wonderful people who have done service to country in such a great way for so many years. And this job allows me to do that in my own way. So thank you all for being part of that. It's hot, there's drinks, so I'm going to kind of move this along for everyone. We would not be able to do this without the mayor, without HUD, without the county. We would not have been able to do this without MHACY and Enterprise. And so I want to thank all of them, because without each and every one of them and their support and their vision and their yeah, we're on board. You want to build a passive house? Let's do it. It would never have happened. And so without further ado, the mayor of the great city of Yonkers, Mike Spano.
Thank you. Wow, this is a great day to be here. And you think about it, when I first came into office, there was a big old high school here. And we knew then that we needed to take this high school down before we could have gotten anyone to consider to do anything with this property. And working with the council, I can see Tasha Diaz out here. It's good to see Councilwoman Diaz. Also good to see our council president, Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, and the other council members here. And anyway, there were so many of you working together with us, because we knew to create opportunity, we really needed to start by making the investment. And that council was able to come up with over $1 million at the time, and that was to take the old Longfellow School down. And as a result, we were able to do some wonderful things here, working with our federal partners. And it's good to see the county executive here, George Latimer, but working with our federal partners, our county partners. Wilson Kimball has just been able to perform magic here with her board. I see the chairman, James is here. Where is he? Oh, there you are. And I know you're a little upset, because the last time we did an announcement, it was named after you. You wanted this one to be La Jim, I know, but you can't have everything. You can't have everything. It's good to see the Deputy County Executive here. Kenny Jenkins, always a great partner, our own Yonkers person, and always a great partner with us. And of course, our partners, Mulberry Corporation, the private investors, MHACY and Enterprise, thank you. The federal government, who I talked about before, our county executive. I know that we'll hear from Senator Andrea Sewell-Cousins, the Senate Majority Leader. She'll be here as well. I want to say thank you to her, leading the delegation for the funding and the dollars that we needed to make this happen. There's no way this would have happened under any one entity, but we were able to make it happen because everyone worked collectively to see this all come together. And of course, our great governor, Kathy Hochul, thank you, and her, and the people in housing. So we had a lot of work to do here. A lot of people said this couldn't be done, and we were able to make it happen. And we had property that was made available. We were able to do some swaps and some wonderful things, but at the end of the day, we have now, right? Well, we have good lawyers, right? There's no doubt about that, right, Joe? Thank you. But just seriously, guys, we want to be able to have Yonkers, which has an aging population, and we want the people that live in our city to be able to age in place. We don't want them to have to move somewhere else. We don't want to have to liquidate their assets and not be able to be in the world that they kind of knew, that they've known for their whole life. And because of housing like this, there will be greater opportunities for seniors to age in place, to be able to take advantage of the beautiful transportation system that is here right and around in the Hollows, to be able to take advantage of what Kelly Chiarella and the Office of Aging has to put in place for our seniors. There's so much here. We just have to be able to point people in the right direction. And like I said, and just take a look at the air, right? This place is awesome. So thank you, Wilson, to your board, to everyone. Great job. Keep it up. And it's nice to see you all here today for this great event.
Thank you, Mayor. Like 4 years ago when COVID was at its height and I took this job, a lovely lady contacted me from HUD and said, hey, I know everyone's in crisis, but I'm doing a tour and I want to come visit you and see what you're up to. And I couldn't have been more thrilled, and she was so gracious and so helpful. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Alika and Samuel from HUD.
Thank you, Wilson. I'm that kind of person. Just kind of keep pulling at me. So, good afternoon, and thank you, Wilson, I have to say, for your leadership and all that you do for the Yonkers Housing Authority, but I also have to just say thank you for your leadership in the housing industry, period. Thank you. It's great to be back in Yonkers. The last time I was here, I saw devastation of a storm that impacted some of the buildings and infrastructure. And in fact, I was here with Luigi, who's sitting up front. Luigi serves as our Director of Public and Indian Housing in the HUD Regional Office. So we were out here, and you know, it's one thing to walk around and tour buildings and sites when you're trying to figure out how to be helpful. It's good to be able to come out and look to see the recovery efforts that are being made. But I like when we're able to come together and celebrate the completion of a new project, something new and something that is beautiful. I love to be able to be a part of those celebrations because it sends a different type of energy into the air. And so it's wonderful to join so many of our partners who strongly believe in the importance of affordable housing and how it can transform and brighten a person's life, especially our family members and neighbors who are living longer and deserve to live, like the mayor said, in communities that they help to build, and in some instances, they help to protect. So it's so good to join amazing partners. So I know the senator's not here right now, but I want to thank Majority Leader Andrew Stewart-Cousins. I also want to thank County Executive George Latimer. Thank you for your partnership and the work that you do with the CBD office. Thank you so much. And Mayor Spano and Council President Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, and recognizing Senior VP at HCR, I'd like to thank you all for the work that you do in serving your constituents with passion and commitment. Hey, Senator Majority Leader. Come on. I just spoke your name and then you walked into the I look around at this beautiful site and see all of its amenities. I had a chance to go upstairs and do a quick tour and just looking at the unique features. And as the mayor said, this space of vacant, well, previous high school, but turned into a vacant and unused property, now 60 state-of-the-art affordable housing units. You all must be so proud for what you have been able to create. And it makes me a little more assured that folks are getting it right. One of the priorities of our former Secretary Marsha Fudge and our acting Secretary Todman is to ensure that we are preserving and renovating the housing stock that we currently have, and that we are supporting seniors who are able to age in place. But we know that there's not enough housing. We need more. And at HUD, we have prioritized in our programs and in our available resources to be able to figure out ways and support community in building new units, new construction for our older adults. And I know that at the HUD headquarters, we've heard so much about Mora's unique features and innovative construction model. And in fact, we had our very own Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Policy and Development, Solomon Green, as well as our Assistant Secretary for Public and Indian Housing, Richmond Milville, was just here in May, and this is their picture. And so I'm just thrilled to be able to be here myself. I am proud that we are all on the same page in believing in energy efficiency, resiliency, and innovation. And I am delighted and proud to stand next to and be part of this wonderful partnership consisting of HCR, NYSERDA, the Mulberry Corporation, and Westchester County. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the City of Yonkers, who used $650,000 in HUD home funds to create this wonderful complex. Every dollar counts, and we know that in order to make these deals work, we have to be creative in looking for funding resources. As a former city councilwoman myself in New York City and a former housing authority executive at NYCHA, I understand how difficult this could be, but how much of a need that we have. So on behalf of HUD and the Biden-Harris administration, congratulations again on this wonderful success story, a model of how to create homes that highlight supporting one true quality of life for our seniors. So thank you so much, everyone.
You can see why I was taken with her immediately, her energy and her enthusiasm. Someone else that I was quite taken with is our governor, who not only had this vision about housing and puts forward plans, even if they're not popular because they're right, but also has a fabulous staff. Ruth Ann Visnakis, her entire team, have been unbelievably helpful to us. They were even on the phone with us yesterday trying to address the crisis that is affordable housing insurance. So I want to thank the governor and her team, and I would like to introduce Alexis Buell.
Wilson. I had like 6 people tell me, you're going to love Wilson, you're going to love him. I can totally see why they said that. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry to be such a poor stand-in for our terrific governor and our commissioner, but I am a Westchester native. Born and raised not too far from here in Edgemont, and I currently live in Larchmont, and spent a lot of time in and around the neighborhood. And I am so incredibly proud of Yonkers. It's incredible what you all have done. And this development is gorgeous. So a particular thanks to you, Mayor, to the Housing Authority, to our county executive for being a relentless advocate for affordable housing. Yonkers is really lucky to have such an all-star team. So before coming to HCR, where I've been for about 4 months now, I was a developer. I ran a nonprofit in New York called Settlement Housing Fund in the city. And so I am acutely aware of how difficult it is to put these kinds of deals together. I now get to sit at HCR and try to figure out where the money is going to come from and try to act as a support system with my team for getting these projects together and solving problems. But I really do know how difficult it is day to day, and how much creativity and tenacity it takes to put a building like this together. You have done such a terrific job. I know that this is one of many projects that we've worked on with you all. In the last 5 years, we've invested more than $331 million in Yonkers to preserve nearly 2,400 affordable homes in the city. In addition to all of the work that we've done with the Housing Authority, we've celebrated construction of Landy Court, Dayspring Commons, which is on Walnut Street, and Point and Ravine near the Glenwood train station. All of this because you all know how important it is to develop affordable housing in our county. I think the most recent survey showed that there was a need of over 12,000 units of additional affordable housing in the county. And at the Housing Authority alone, there's a wait list of nearly 2,000 seniors. So I know that this building is going to get leased up in a flash. Very lucky 60 leaseholders are going to be moving in shortly. So the progress that we've made here is remarkable. We know that there's a lot more we need to do. That's why Governor Hochul's $25 billion five-year housing plan is so important to communities and neighborhoods like this one. The governor's plan will allow us to expand the state's housing supply and preserve and protect our existing housing stock. Our goal is to preserve or construct 100,000 homes, and that's a big task, but I know with people like you all, we're up to it. So thank you so much for having me and for being such terrific partners to the state.
Thank you, Alexa. We believe in partnership and building bridges. The mayor sets a fine example in that. And so you mentioned Landy Court. Our chairman, Jim Landy, is here. You mentioned the West Ave project. I saw Richard Nightingale here. You mentioned Point and Ravine. Roger Pine is here in the back. So you all owe her thanks. Make sure you find her after. Okay. You know, from the very first day when we dug our shovels in and did the groundbreaking here, and for the entire time I've been in Yonkers, we've had a great advocate and friend in our Senate Majority Leader. So without further ado, Andres Sorokin.
So any of you who know me know I love, love, love to be in a space where there has been vision, there have been partnerships, there's been an acknowledgement of the needs of the community, and there is success. And so to be in this amazing building with, again, my partners in government, mayor, city council president, and all of the city council people, the county executive, and deputy county executive, it's so good to see you again, Anita. And tell Secretary Fudge that we are very, very grateful for her leadership there. And of course, HCR and Ruth Ann and her team is really incredible. And yes, it is wonderful to work with the governor and with my partners in the Senate, who also represent Yonkers Senator Mayor, and in the Assembly. Assemblyman Sage and Assemblymember Pretlow, and all of their teams, as well as Speaker MHACY, to commit to making sure that housing is not only built, but that we actually target what we need. And so much of what we need is affordable housing. So please be clear, we don't mind doing the hard things, even if they're not popular. But we understand that when we explain to communities what is needed, it becomes popular. And that's why we were able to do a housing deal this year. Everyone coming together that has an intention of preserving the affordability as well as building with funds for even greater affordability, because New York wants to be a leader. And when we talk about seniors, it's hard to ignore the crises in terms of seniors, their poverty, and unfortunately, potential for homelessness. They are a large cohort. I didn't see Councilmember Dean's, Councilmember Dean's. The 1 in 4 statistic of seniors facing homelessness cannot be ignored. And I was looking in New York State, and Yonkers actually has the highest percentage of seniors, followed by New York City. So the fact that we are paying attention to the senior population, and we are paying attention to the fact that we have, by virtue of their age, low-income seniors who could be at risk of losing their homes, and we are addressing that as a community, is laudable, and I'm really, really proud to once again stand in a community that cares and lead the way in providing affordable and very beautiful housing. So thank you very much. Thank you so much for your leadership.
That is so true. We find the struggles of seniors are getting worse and worse. It started during COVID, but it has definitely persisted, Senator. And in that, the Office of the Aging, Kelly Chiarella and I, under Mayor Mike Spano, have reached out to the county time and time again, and they have been there, right there, the second we needed them. And so I'm ever so grateful for the county executive, George Latimer.
Thank you, Rosie. I feel today the way I felt in the summer of 1967 when I was on a police athletic league baseball team. I was 13 years of age and we won the championship of our league. It was a summer league, July baseball, and half of the month of August. It's the only team I've ever been on in sports that ever won a championship in the league that it was in. And if you've ever been on a championship team at any level of sport, that moment where you know you've won is exuberant beyond belief. You hug each other, you love each other, you know, as if there's going to be no tomorrow. And I realized on that team, and I remember the names of the guys I played with, to this day, we're all older men now. But not only was there diversity, but there were different talents that went into winning that championship. I played first base. I wasn't a particularly good hitter, but I had a couple of hits over the course of the season. I won a game here or there, and other players all contributed. There was no one player that got it done for all of us. When I look at this board and I see all the different players in this game, the championship, the success that this is, we were here for the groundbreaking. And you look at a piece of land and you see dirt starting to move around. And even though we've done it before, all of us in public office have been to these things, groundbreakings before, you really know that there's going to be blood, sweat, and tears between the groundbreaking and the ribbon cutting. That's the first day of a sport, the first time you play the first game, until you win the championship. And in this championship, there are so many players that did different things. From the county level of government, $3.4 million added to the cause. Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, Amelia Gutierrez, who is here on behalf of County Legislator Jose Alvarado, the Board of Legislature played a role. Joe McDonald, our Director of Operations, Emily Saltzman, Blanca Lopez, our Commissioner of Planning, basically is where we have the housing component, was part of a team. And the team had other levels of players who hit home runs. When we hit a single, we all did it together. And the one message I take away from this as I look at it, we know exactly as was said, we have almost an unlimited amount of affordable housing we need to do in this county and then by extension in the state and the nation. There are people who think it comes easy. There are people who avoid the fact that you have to find a site. And the site has to be buildable. And you have to know that you can build a site economically, that there isn't rocks or other problems, swamps that make it impossible to build on. When the builders make the assessment that it is buildable, how much money will it cost to make the site ready to be built? When you cost that out, and then you have engineering that can say, well, on this site, with the parking and the traffic, we can get so many units, and we have to have so much parking, and there are issues to be dealt with. And there's a financing issue. If anybody thinks that's easy, it takes people with a brilliant understanding of finance to put these things together. Because the rent rolls will not look like a market-based rent roll, where people will gladly pay, you know, $3,500 a month for a one-bedroom apartment in an elite situation. You're remembering who you're trying to help. And the subsidies that are needed, you need the state, and the federal, and the county, and the city, all in harmony. And all of us have to be willing to make accommodations to do this. I deal all the time, as we do in public office, with advocates that say, you need to do more. You haven't done enough. This is only a Band-Aid. And do you really understand what it takes? Do you really understand what it took to take this site, as you first saw it, Mr. Mayor, to turn it into what it is today? And if you understood that, you take that energy and you put it into getting those pieces into place so we can have more of these buildings rather than create a public debate that doesn't add one unit of housing. When that state budget goes through, Audrey Stewart-Cousins sweats bullets to get it through the Senate. Carl Hastie does the same thing. I had a chance to see them up close and personal both, and it takes a brilliant job to do that with the governor. And it doesn't look good in the press, except at the end of the day, it puts the money here to do these things. And the same is true at every level of government. So I would like to be able to continue, at whatever level, to play on championships teams. I'd like to be able to see us do more of these things in Yonkers, and dare I say in other areas like Yonkers. The political commitment to do this is here. This mayor, this council is committed to do it, and I believe that that commitment is more widespread in more places than they think. I don't care if the New York City media wants to describe what they think the suburbs are like. We know what it's like here and what we're willing to do in this county and this city. But it's important to understand how hard it is to do it. Once you grasp that, then you know what it's going to take for us to put more units. I have every confidence we'll have more of these, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you.
Blood, sweat, and tears was last week assembling the furniture in the show unit. Which you're all welcome to visit after. There'll be tours, but honestly, the Mulford staff, called me up on Saturday even, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is never going to come together." And having been through enough of these winning teams, I knew it was, because they are amazing, and I'm grateful for our staff and Carlos, my COO. So thank you. And someone else who you may know, our City Council President, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy.
Good afternoon, everyone. County Executive, interesting that you mentioned a date and time that you remember. For me, most of you know I am the City Council President, but I am also an attorney with the Housing Authority and started out as a resident of the Housing Authority way a long time ago. But a date that sticks in mind when I think of today is June 12th, 1992. And that's the day that my family received keys to the townhouses that were built in Yonkers as part of the DSIG order. And the excitement that you feel with something new, with something to call home, is what I'm feeling here today. So, yes, I am the City Council President. I had a role to play, even though I had to abstain from all the votes. But my abstention in my heart was a yes, absolutely, let's do it. But because of my role with the Housing Authority, I of course abstained. But the excitement and the feeling that you all get and the residents that will be moving into these units, I want to thank each and every player, from the federal government to the county to the state to the city to our visionary of leadership here. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the residents who will get to move into these units and call it home. When I was working for the Housing Authority in the admissions department, long before we had a site-based waiting list, I would ask everyone, where would you want to live? Because when you move in, I want you to hang up pictures and consider it home, not think of it as just a bypass to your next step. So I would ask everyone, and anytime someone said, I go to this place, I would call them up and say, hey, I have a unit here, because I know that they would appreciate it and they would love it. So to see this property come to pass after the long history of what this site once was, is that exciting feeling of having something new, something meaningful after a long time of just sitting stagnant for years. So I applaud the entire Housing Authority, the City of Yonkers, the county, the state, and the federal government for the role that they played in making this Mora project, and of course the Mulberry Corp, because when I tell you what they all go through, and I get to sit back now because I don't have to get my hands dirty anymore, but I thank you all, because it takes, as you all said, blood, sweat, and tears, and there will be so many errors that have taken place to get us to this point, but to continue to push and get us where we are is a blessing. So on behalf of the people who will live in these units, because I still remember that feeling, thank you. Thank you for not giving up.
Not give up one more time and get through the ribbon cutting in the intense heat. I would appreciate that. And then refreshments are over here. There's water, there's brownies from Grayson Bakery. If you don't know their story, you should. And then there's tours of the unit. So thank you all for coming, and let's get the ribbon cut.